Attention, please. The show starts in 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, go.
And now, coming live from the Midwest Racks and Rod studio, it's the Outdoor Show with your host, Scott
They want you to say grace.
Pisco Bang, and Drew
The blessing.
Pisco Bang, with our producer, Luke. Save the neck for me, Clark. Workman. And special in-studio guest, Jesse Bricco.
All right. Well, it's
Sweet Fancy Moses.
boy. I tell you, if it wasn't for no luck, for bad luck, there'd be no luck. I don't know.
Sure, this place ain't haunted.
You know, it's funny. It's like we constantly we run tests and stuff before the show. You know, we do all this stuff. You know,
Right.
we hit all the check marks. I've been here since 8 o'clock this morning, working on different things here in the studio, running tests, fixing this, fixing that, and it never fails.
That is by far the most frustrating thing.
And you know what?
It's
we
good.
didn't have this issue at the last show, but you weren't here. So.
I'm starting to think it's me. I'm bringing some bad juju here. Just a little. Well, everything I do is just a little bit.
Just a little bit.
Just a little. So, it sounds like we're good to go now. And
Thanks for
hopefully-
your patience, everybody.
Yes, we appreciate you guys.
Sticking around.
And again, welcome to another episode of the Midwest Racks and Rods Outdoor Show. I'm your host, Scott Biscobing, and Drew Biscobing is to my left, and to my right here is team member Jesse Bricco. And
Welcome, bud.
Thanks for having me again.
yeah, this is their first time in this studio.
It is.
Yeah, you were at our last studio. I mean, it's hard to keep track of all the studios we've had here over the last 4 years.
We're staying here though, right?
That is the plan. That is absolutely.
And now we're going to get evicted. Thanks, Jesse. Did you not just hear us talk about our luck?
Yeah, I mean, we don't talk about it. It's like a no hitter. You got to be careful with words because words is hard at times. But anyways, so here we are, guys. We're getting close to wrapping up the year. We're going to actually do one more episode here on the 28th. That'll be our kind of year in review or our kind of wrap up, I think. But since Drew wasn't here for our last episode, we had Johnny Bauman here from Drop 'em Outdoors, which was a great show.
Excellent.
It was great to have him in studio and Nick Faber filling
My
in for you.
replacement. Yep.
Just for the day.
Just-
I hear he did a good job.
yeah, Nick always does a great job. He's fantastic.
You know, there's my
So
bad luck.
good. He's so good.
Right.
He might replace me.
And I'm awful.
But anyways, yeah. What we wanted to kind of talk a little bit about on that show is because prior to that it was our deer camp special.
Yep.
And then obviously deer camp happened here, Wisconsin 9-day gun season and stuff. And well, I want to tell you, we had a blast this year. And we do every year, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
But we kind of have a new place to stay this year. Sounds like
That's
it's going to
great.
be like the new deer camp going forward. We're still hunting the same properties.
Yep.
We're staying on the same property, but we have a new place to stay in. It was a little more spacious and
A lot more spacious.
yeah, I
was
should
really
say that.
nice.
Yeah, it was like almost
was
triple the
fantastic.
size of what we're used to. We're usually crammed in there, cots squeezed in.
And it just smells like farts and armpits. And
Right, and this place had a
little more elbow room. It was great.
little
It
more
was
air
nice.
circulating.
You know, again, as always, and this is truly from the heart. Scott does so much work preparing us for the gun season. Not just in terms of the scouting, which he does plenty of it for. I mean, he's always put me on deer. Sometimes I miss said deer, but nonetheless.
That was a bad day.
But then on top of that, he puts us onto this new, lodge that we had, which was just fantastic. It was great. Had a wonderful time. Our producer Luke was able to join us. Our dad was able to join us, which was also great.
Yeah, all the guys from the group.
Jesse made a surprise visit, which was really nice and
It was nice to come
unexpected.
see you
Yeah,
guys.
that
I was on the
great.
way home, so
Yeah, you guys,
awesome.
you guys like, oh, we got our deer. We're gonna head home. Mind if we stop in? Like, absolutely. So
Yeah.
we had a campfire going, and you guys hung out for that, and you and Hunter,
yeah,
your
it
son,
was a big
and
group
that.
then.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun. Great year. Now, in terms of the hunting and stuff, that's kind of a different story. I had a great encounter on Saturday afternoon with two really nice bucks, two shooters for sure, that came in around 2:00 in the afternoon. First off, I had a doe come in, and I could tell that she had been chased. She kind of came in kind of panting, and I'm like, okay, well, let's kind of wait and see here. She was a really nice doe. I mean, the thought had crossed my mind, but the way she came in, I'm like, she's being chased. Well, the wind in that particular location was a little squirrely. I wasn't expecting to see deer at the bottom of this ridge at the time. I'm like, I'm going to hunt at the bottom of this ridge in hopes that I'm going to see deer closer to the end of the day, and as the thermals are dropping and the wind kind of dies down. So I was not expecting this at this time, and she kind of bounds up the hill, and then as she does that, I see about 7 yards back a nice buck kind of pacing her up the side, but he's back in the thick. I can't get a shot, and she didn't tolerate that wind too long, and then she kind of bounded up, and he followed. Again, couldn't get a shot, and then right after, a giant came out, following him, and again, like small, quick openings, but he's kind of bounding through, and I'm just like more like just watching rack go through the woods.
It's a heartbreaker.
And I'm like, I'm not going to take a pot shot at a deer, in general, especially not one of that caliber. But I'm like, there's some chasing going on here yet. So I was like, and the thing of it is if I would have taken that doe, what would have happened is I would have shot that doe, and then I would have seen those two bucks bound off, and I would have been like, oh my God, if I wouldn't have shot her, they were going to come in with her, or I could have got a better look at those two or shot, So for me, that point on, I had one buck in mind, maybe two, one of those two. The second one was, like I said, he was huge. I don't even recall having him on camera. From what I could tell, I couldn't tell exactly what he was, but I knew he was a really, really big buck. So I'm like, I had plenty of other opportunities at smaller bucks and does throughout the season, but I was like, I know he's around.
We didn't really talk about this a whole lot that weekend, but in your eyes, seeing him in the fashion that you did, right? Brief moments where you're just seeing a whole lot of rack coming through. Mm-hmm. Do you think that compromised your hunt the rest of the weekend because you had a different mindset then?
I wouldn't. I mean, it compromised it in terms of like, okay, well, I'm not going to shoot at a doe because I don't know if a doe comes in, I don't know what could be behind her,
following her.
That there's still some chasing or there's still some running activity going on.
Because it wasn't like you didn't see deer.
Oh yeah, I had plenty of opportunities, and Sunday, Monday.
Monday's probably better with the cold weather, right?
Yeah. Oh yeah. It continued to get better. But I'm like, and I was fine with that. Like if I wanted to shoot a doe, like I can go out now.
Right.
I can go back out and shoot a doe. But when it comes to gun season, I'm pretty much typically kind of still in buck only mentality, unless the freezer's really low. But for the last 4 or 5 years here now, I've gotten a buck during archery season. So it's like,
Take the weight off your shoulders.
Oh, right, exactly. It takes the pressure off a little bit. I'm obviously selective during archery season to an extent. And then I will continue that obviously if I get a buck. So,
yeah. Well, that's fair.
I know Mike had some opportunities too as well, but overall though, I mean, the weather conditions weren't great.
No,
There wasn't a lot of
Very warm.
shootings. Pressure was kind of down overall. And on our property, I mean, even with 3-4 guys out there on say 160 acres on that property, it doesn't take long to kind of screw it up.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like
pressure on.
right. I mean, we had east winds one day. Like that sucks out there. I mean, there's nothing worse than an east wind on that property.
Oh, you guys sent in a bedding area?
Yeah, I mean, because it's orientated in such a way that if you want to get into your stands, just the access points, because it's really tough because of a swamp and other property lines.
Gotcha.
That ideally a west wind or north or south, because we have north and south access, so we can access through both north and south. So if you get a straight south, you get a straight north. Well, okay, it's a no-brainer.
Right.
Otherwise, west, you can hug the east side of the property for, to a certain extent to get into your stands or into certain areas. So east winds, I mean, during the rut, I won't hunt them. I just won't. I won't hunt them.
Why booger them up?
I mean, there's no sense in it. I mean, gun season, you get away with a little bit more. You got that reach out and touch them situation going on, but I don't
Talk amongst yourselves.
Okay. But like I said, so back to the actual deer camp itself. Hang on, Luke, what do you got there? He wants you to just bring it in a little bit tighter there.
That better? Gotcha.
Why don't you tell us a little bit about how opening weekend went for you guys?
Well, just me and Hunter going up there. We had a couple bucks in mind, a big 8. There was a 10. Landowner kind of wanted that one to go for next year, but there was a couple bucks, no bro times that he wouldn't mind getting taken off, and there was one that was really coming in quite frequently. I actually passed him, I think, the weekend before, and we didn't have much time to hunt. Hunter got his buck with the youth hunt, so it was just pretty much me.
That's rough, yeah. Terrible.
We had does in our freezer, so I was on a horn hunting mission, and it was actually tough. The stand I went in, I didn't see anything until probably noon was the first action I had. And actually, a doe caught me moving, so I got blown at noon, so I thought my day was done, and sure enough, I actually seen the movement probably around 250, kind of around the time you were seeing yours.
Mm-hmm.
Came in right on the trail that our camera was catching them on, and
Sure.
pretty close, like 20, 25-yard shot, and
Yeah.
came to visit you guys then.
Coming at us.
So you got it done.
Yeah, we got her done.
That's awesome. And Hunter, obviously, living up to his namesake.
Yeah, he beat me again this year.
Crepes. I'm going to have to get some tips from the boy.
I'm teaching him too well.
I mean, honestly, though, but that's the thing, like with you, though. I mean, you make him the priority
Every time.
all the time. Your hunting is always secondary to his and stuff. And
Kind of like how you
and
treat me.
no. Oh, all right.
Yeah, I'd say during turkey and gun deer, I feel like you definitely make it a priority for yourself to make me successful. You do a lot of work to help me with my hunt. Mike as well.
Yeah.
It's not like we don't do our own little bit, but
Oh, right. Absolutely.
I've shot so many deer, and how many years I've been hunting. I want him to kind of get that under his
That's
belt
awesome.
and get that excitement that that I had at that age.
Right.
Actually, he got to start hunting before I did.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I think that's the
11
case
and a
with
half,
lot.
12, I think, when soon as we could start hunting.
Yeah, 12 years old, I believe.
Yeah.
I know that's what it was for me, and I didn't start hunting until I was 13. So,
Okay.
until actually, I mean, I had gone with my dad and
Same
stuff
here.
prior, mentor, and obviously this will segue well into our next topic here.
Absolutely.
And that
Great topic.
But honestly, like the 9-day gun deer season is a blast. I have so much fun. For me, it's the camaraderie. It's the hanging out with friends and family.
Absolutely.
And man, we had so many good laughs. Luke, what was the best part of deer camp for you?
Pickled eggs.
I think besides breakfast with Jeff,
What happened with breakfast with Jeff?
it's between Jeff and myself.
Oh.
It's one of those things. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. So breakfast with Jeff, and then seeing you guys come in, talk about your hunt, and then enjoying the evening. You know, you guys do your thing, and then everyone hangs out together. It's something that's not replicable outside of deer camp, and it's one of those things that you can't do it anywhere else, and it's got its own special place.
Yeah,
That's a great point.
Yeah, well said.
It's a different feeling when that happens up there.
It is.
Yeah, and I mean, you could take the same group of guys, get them together for a weekend of shenanigans elsewhere, and it just wouldn't have the same feel.
Absolutely not.
It really wouldn't.
No, there's just something about it that it has a different feel to it. It has a mystique, if you will. It's like nothing else. It's one of my all-time favorite times of the year, and
I would have to
has been,
agree.
and it will continue to be. So,
For anybody out there, leave comments. Let us know how your gun season went. If you were successful or not. Share pictures, of course.
yeah, I mean, whether it was Wisconsin or Michigan.
Absolutely.
There's got to be
So
somebody out there
Illinois.
that shot a big boy on the page.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah,
They're
I know.
just not
I do have a question from the talk and text line.
Okay.
All right.
Where did Hunter get his name?
When we, it was pretty much his mom got to pick if it was going to be a girl, and I got to pick if it was going to be a boy, and it was, knew right away what I wanted it to be.
Yeah.
Instantly, it just felt right.
It was either
Yeah. I mean, I can't go wrong either way.
right.
I mean, with you being a captain of a charter boat, I mean, yeah, you definitely could have gone Fisher.
Yes.
Chinook. Oh, that's the dog name.
And we're
Yeah, you need to.
and we're absolutely going to be talking more about that. I'd say coming up this spring, right?
I hope so.
We'll
Absolutely.
be having you back on to discuss a little bit more about your charter.
Yeah, absolutely. In fact, if you want to go ahead and plug it right now, in 3, Jesse, go ahead.
What?
Go ahead. If you want to plug your charter fishing boat.
Oh, Hunter's Dream Charter Fishing. Look me up. We got our Facebook page. The 2024 season is wide open. So far, there's no bookings, but right now we're running a special. If you book by the 1st of this year for a 6-hour trip, it's 10% off. So pretty much a 5-hour trip you're paying for, and you get 6 hours.
Awesome.
Outstanding.
But that will fill up. Those spots will fill up quickly for sure. I mean, just after this weekend, I mean, how many guys approach you? From
I was not expecting that down there.
Yeah.
I mean, that was really cool.
yeah, you're going to be getting a lot of phone calls here, and you always do. I mean, you were out almost every weekend. I mean, as much as you possibly could, you were.
We
out
really
there.
definitely try to show everyone we can a good time.
Right.
As long as weather lets us get out, we're going to go out.
Yeah, we'll be out there with you this year for sure. So
I guess he was going to throw up first.
Why you look at me?
it won't be me. It won't be me.
That's gonna be me.
I'll be all right. But all right. Well, again, segueing into our next topic
Yes.
here, in that like we said, a lot of the guys you talked to this weekend are interested in booking trips with you. So this last weekend was the KAMO Joe Hunt.
Kids and Mentors Outdoors.
That is correct. Kids and Mentors Outdoors. This was my second year doing it, and this was Jesse's first year. Chris Damali from our team was supposed to be there this weekend. Unfortunately, at his job, things went haywire with other supervisors. It sounds like one supervisor was in the hospital with COVID, another one had a house burned down or something like
it
that.
was something.
So like he got just absolutely thrown into like having to like supervise like 2 different plants.
You guys hear any more about
weekend.
that?
I
Everybody
have not.
okay?
I mean, I'm sure he's been pretty busy. I'm sure he still is probably busy from it. If that's, if it's as severe as it sounds
Yeah.
like. So, unfortunately, I know he was really bummed out, and we were bummed out to not have him there. Fortunately,
was quieter.
yeah, the sleeping was
Sleeping was great.
not nearly the snoring, but we still had some in the dorms, but.
Sounds like a Peterbilt downshifted on the highway. It's crazy.
But
So yeah, the K.A.M.O. Now is it? Now I've seen it, pronounced many ways. Is it just the Joe? Do they refer to it as just the Joe? I shouldn't say just. I mean, right?
The Joe hunt?
the Joe hunt, yeah.
The Joe hunt.
And
It's kind of a memorial, is it not?
correct. Yes, it is a. It's named after
Lost our logo there.
Oh, did we? Oh, what the heck happened here again? Look, just do me a favor and just turn that, hit the power off on that there. Thanks. Yeah, I don't know. That's weird.
That's all right.
But hey, who knows? Anyways, no, it's named after a former member who I believe started
Yes.
the actual Joe hunt. And if any of the guys from K.A.M.O are watching right now, feel free to chime in on the text or in the comment section there and let us know exactly.
Yeah, I was curious. I didn't know what that stood for either.
Yeah. So last year was my first year. Elijah Keller, who helped found Midwest Racks and Rods Outdoors, told me about it back in 2019.
Okay.
And at that time, he said, this is what it is. It's Kids and Mentors Outdoors. That's what KAMO stands for. And we do this Joe hunt, and we're always looking for volunteers, for mentors and stuff to go out and take these kids on this hunt. And I was like, that sounds really cool. I'd absolutely be interested in it. Well, the following year was 2020, and then 2020.
And we all know what happened. We don't have to talk about
Right. It didn't happen because of the pandemic. And then last year it came back. We had Larry Polinsky on the show,
Yep.
who's a writer for Wisconsin Outdoor News, as
Great
well as
guy.
some local papers and stuff. And, I told him I was going to be doing this. He's like, well, give me all the information on it. Wrote up a nice article, The Return of the Joe Hunt. I think, I think that's what it was, Return of the Joe or Return of the Joe Hunt. And really nice article.
Help me out here. 'Cause he has a great book. And I'll be damned if I haven't forgotten the name of it. I have a copy at home.
God of the Hunt.
God of the Hunt.
Yeah.
God of the Hunt by Larry Polinsky.
That was a good book.
Oh my gosh, you guys got to check this out.
Yeah.
Just full of awesome stories. It's really great. It's on Amazon. We can post a link in the comments later. Check it out. It's
Yeah,
great.
or just check out Larry Polinsky Outdoors or Polinsky Outdoors on Facebook and that. I know he's been running some advertisements about the book. It'd be a great stocking stuffer for anybody, for yourself or for anybody else,
Absolutely.
that's into hunting whitetails. It's a great book. So a little plug there for Larry.
But I digress.
And it was really, really nice of him to write that article.
Absolutely.
I'm sure that'd
and
help
kinda
advertise.
Oh, absolutely. It's a fantastic program. KAMO itself, right?
Yeah.
I mean,
And there's several chapters, right?
yes, this is a Wisconsin-based organization. It's all volunteer. It's all based on donations, whether it be money or
You can donate old hunting gear.
Yeah,
exactly.
sleeping bags there for all the
Clothing.
kids, everything.
Right.
That's pretty stellar, right? So,
Yep.
and explain a little bit more of the need for that, right?
No,
Oh my gosh! I mean, I think there's going to be a level or a number of people that'd be like, "Oh, well, here we go again, getting kids out there shooting deer and getting into the outdoors. Like, we need more of that." No, obviously we need more of that.
Absolutely, we need more of that.
I mean, Luke, if you want to start maybe just kind of scrolling through some of those pictures there, with the eye. I mean, that picture there, that was we can come back to that one there or whatever. You can keep scrolling there a little bit, but that was my my mentee. That's Jordan, and I was fortunate to have him again this year. I had him last year. Unfortunately, last year we did not have much success or even opportunities, but this year we did find some success.
Got
up
it
there.
done.
One of the first kids that shot, wasn't he?
Yeah, on Friday afternoon, I think he was one of the first 3 or whatever to
it was
get a
quick.
deer this year.
So you got to see his adrenaline rush from him killing his first deer.
Yeah, it was. I mean, he was 10 last year. He's 11 this year. It was exciting. I've got it all on video. I'll be sharing that here this
Awesome.
either this weekend or next week. Here, I'll share that video. It was really cool, just to see this reaction in person. Now I have a son. He's 5 years old. It's going to be a few years before I take him out and that. But to see this in a kid that, like, I actually have had some time to spend with,
Right.
last year.
Right.
And that. And he was, one of a few kids that didn't get deer last year. Now this year, the crew absolutely just.
Oh my gosh.
And what's funny is, like, going into it, right, Jesse? Like, we kind of talked, like, boy, I don't know. This is good. The weather's like
Weather was not-
unseasonably warm.
Again,
Exactly. I mean, Friday was
50s.
Yeah,
52.
it was unbelievable. And like, how many deer were taken?
I think the first night it was
Seven?
six or seven.
6 or 7.
I
on
think
the
one
first
buck.
night on the warmest day.
Yeah, first night.
I mean, we had a front coming in that night with the rain and stuff, so there was some hope there. Like, maybe because we have a front coming in.
Oh, there he is.
That that was this year, and that I should have posted the one from last year. In fact, when he came up to me and him and his dad walking up, I'm like, oh my gosh, I hardly recognize the kid. I mean,
Grew a lot.
from 10 to 11. I'm like, what are you, 18 now?
You have a beard?
Yeah. But we actually end up it was a record-breaking season for this Joe
That's
hunt.
what they said, kids and deer.
Right. I mean, I
looked like
believe
that
there was
A-frame
22 kids and 20 deer taken, and 2 turkeys.
No kidding. Awesome.
Well, I think Friday, 2 of the kids got sick, whatever they left, so I think
Yeah, it was supposed to be 24, but right away Friday evening, 2 kids dropped out.
There's that A-frame. That's just.
Yeah,
it's a
I mean,
good
just
day when
loaded.
that starts making noise when you're hoisting deer up.
Yeah,
That was great sound.
yeah. We had to get some extra.
Supports in the back.
Yeah, exactly. It was incredible.
So this is held in Poynette. Is
Yeah.
that correct?
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah, at the McKenzie Center.
The McKenzie Center. That's
So,
right. Yes.
This is like a DNR type property, like a reserve. Now, when I say that, like, don't get this twisted. This isn't like a deer preserve or anything. What I mean is that they have like some buffalo there on site that are penned in. They have some wolves
I think some pheasants too.
and some pheasant farming right next door and that. But the deer in that are wild in that. And some of the participants and their mentors hunt on the McKenzie Center property,
Okay.
but not all. I mean, I don't even know.
I don't think
if
I
it's
did.
half even. No, I mean, we didn't.
No.
We all hunted on different private properties,
Donated.
basically donated or opened up by landowners. So, like, for example, now I've hunted the same spot the last 2 years here on this one property on the other side of town, on the country, and that it's private property. And on that property, that landowner, the landowners set their rules, right?
Sure.
So
Absolutely.
now I should kind of revise this here just a little bit. With this hunt, it's during an antlerless only hunt here, a 3-day hunt here in Wisconsin. However, these kids are allowed to shoot bucks.
Only kids.
They're the only
Right.
people in the entire state of Wisconsin that this weekend can shoot a buck, whether it be a bow or a gun. It's a special, but there's also some other things that come along with it. The DNR wants all the deer tested for CWD. So all the CWD testing, these are special tags that these kids get. and a lot of other things, logistics that go along with it. So
They have to be like drawn for it, right?
Let's. Oh, hold on. We have a question here.
yeah.
Yep. Jeff would like to know: do the kids get to keep their deer?
That's a great question. So they don't get to keep their individual deer. The deer, well, actually, one of the participants, or not participants, one of the mentors, I should say, one of the guys from K.A.M.O, also does all the deer processing. Like that's like one of his jobs or whatever. He's a deer processor. So he takes all the deer and gets them all processed, and then all the meat gets distributed.
That's awesome.
Kind of evenly. So even if, like last year, so like Jordan didn't get a deer, but he still got to take meat home with his family, or
is
you know, after things get processed and stuff. So
That's what they were on that trailer right at the end. And,
right,
Okay.
yeah, they're all going right there to the processor.
So if you don't mind, I want to dive more into legitimately like how special this is and the full meaning behind what the Joe Hunt stands for, right? Why is it? Because I'm sure there's plenty of naysayers out there, right? In terms of these kids get to take a buck, right? Why is that?
Or I mean, look at now. There's 20 more deer that don't make it through till next year.
Yeah, 20 more deer that I won't hit with my car. But anyhow, let's get into what makes it so special. Why? Not necessarily, because by no means are these kids privileged, right?
Right.
It's
Like a lottery, right?
get into that.
Well, no, it's not even a lottery thing. I mean, for one thing, with K.A.M.O is it's no cost in general, like for kids, whether it be the Joe Hunt or all the other activities. Everything is donated. Everything is donated based. Like there's not a sign up. I mean, you sign up to do these things and get involved with it or whatever, but it's not. It doesn't cost the kids or the families of these kids any money to do this. The sole purpose of is exactly what it is. It's Kids and Mentors Outdoors. It's getting kids involved in the outdoors. Some of these kids might come from single family,
Sure.
where maybe dad isn't around, or it could simply be that they, want to get into the outdoors because their friends are into hunting and fishing, but they don't, maybe their parents aren't really into it and they don't, it's not really their thing, but they want to do it.
Sure.
And they want that opportunity. What we're doing, or I shouldn't say we, because I'm not an official member of K.A.M.O. We just, as with Midwest here now, the last couple of years, we've been volunteering as mentors. If there was a chapter closer by, I think I would definitely probably. And now I'm going to get the messages like, well, why don't we start it?
Let's open a chapter.
Why don't you open a chapter?
Yeah.
I wish I had the time and the means to do it. If we did have one around here, I certainly would. I'd certainly be involved with it for sure. But
I think there's a couple on my way.
There's a lot to unpack here when it comes to all of this, right? This is getting kids involved early on. So, for example, for the Joe Hunt, they have to be 10 years old. That's the minimum age for this. And they can come back 2 years, or they can come back for an additional year. They get to do it for 2 years. The idea is really just to get them started in the outdoors. And we know that, most of us know that it's really, really important to get this next generation.
Yes.
The baby boomers, we talked about this on the last episode briefly, like the baby boomers are either dying off or just getting out of the outdoors because of age and health and, different things like that.
Absolutely.
For as much social media stuff you see out there, and if you follow a lot of pages, you're like, oh, everybody's hunting, everybody's a mobile hunter, everybody's a public land hunter, because
So
it's
many
in our
different
face.
pages.
Right, there is. So there's this illusion that we have all these hunters. It's just in our face more. The hunting
The social
is in
part.
there. But the reality is license sales are continuing to drop every single year, and not by 1%, not by 2%, not by 5%.
Double digits.
23% over like the last 5 years. It's unbelievable.
Staggering amount.
If we don't get this next generation involved,
What's that going to look like?
it's not going to
10 years
good.
from now, it's going to be 50%.
It's going to look really bad. I'm going to tell you that. I'm sorry, Luke, somebody had a question?
Yeah, we got another question on the chat. Do they have their own hunting equipment? How is that provided to them? How does that work?
Great
Great.
question. Yep.
Great
Good
question.
question.
So yeah, to an extent, these kids have some of their own stuff. If they don't, that is provided. In terms of guns, that's all provided. So what they do prior to the Joe hunt, there's a kind of a field day, a range day, where all these kids that are going to participate, they go to a range with the other mentors and the fellows from KAMO, take them out and they get to shoot guns and kind of get a feel for it a little bit. They also, like I said, they have to do this like kind of 1 day class with the DNR. It doesn't give them
It's like a field day, right?
right, and they're taught some stuff, but it's not. They don't get 100.
It's not like a hunter's safety.
It's not hunter safety.
Of
It
course,
doesn't give them a
but
certification, but it gives them
Enough
some
to go out
basic
there.
understanding. What we do out there is we're handling the firearms from start to finish, other than when it's time to we kind of for you set up a tripod.
Yeah, I had a tripod that Hunter uses. I had brought up, and then I actually brought his gun that he uses with.
Right, exactly.
But still, Carson that I took out, I think he told me that his parents spent a couple hundred just in clothes and stuff just so he could go out for this hunt.
Sure.
Again, somebody who didn't have anything.
Right. I mean, I always bring extra stuff along. I know you did too.
And it was very needed.
Right. Why don't you explain that? That was kind of a weird situation.
So I actually brought Hunter's, box of clothes just, like you said, in case, extra sweatshirt, gloves, anything.
Mm-hmm.
Well, the first night we went out, again, he had his own Blaze Orange, and he was fine when we got out there, the drive out. We got out in the stand, and his eyes started getting puffy, watery. He was rubbing them, and I think he sneezed probably about 30 times out there. So I knew, God, my kid is getting sick. I hope not. Something's up. He wasn't like this before we left. So before the next morning, I'm like, just try on my son's clothes to see if it fits.
Mm-hmm.
Well, that was the thing, because we were trying to figure out, he came back and he was fine.
Yeah.
And Jesse's like, I think he's allergic to me.
I don't know. I mean, he was saying he was allergic to cats or dogs, and I'm like, well, I got a dog. Is that going to affect stuff?
Right.
But you keep your hunting stuff
In a bin.
I'm like, that can't be. There's no way. There's no way. So that's actually what I brought it up on Saturday morning we're getting. I'm like, if you got extra clothes for, because he got it in his Blaze Orange and almost immediately started sneezing again.
kidding.
He was sneezing already outside before we left. I'm like,
And he was
So
fine
there was
before
something with those clothes.
he wasn't near me either. I was nowhere near him.
that. Right. It was like the detergent that was used. I mean, it didn't smell like Tide or anything like
No,
that.
it didn't.
But then again, I don't even know if those clothes were washed. If
They
were
did.
So new.
Well, I found out at the last day that they washed them.
They did.
But
Well,
just, regular detergent. But I don't know if it was a detergent they used, but I washed all of our
whatever
clothes and, all sent away stuff.
Yeah.
And he put on everything that Hunter would normally wear out there. And he was totally fine, 100%, which was great because I wanted to, I didn't want to switch. I wanted to,
Right.
I didn't want him to go home sick or something.
Right.
But it solved the issue.
right. At one point we thought oh, maybe we'll just switch kids or something, see if that helps.
Sure.
But it wouldn't have.
I wasn't buying the whole he's allergic to, there's no way you have dog hair and stuff on your hunting clothes. I know how you are with keeping stuff sent free and totes and all that. It's something ain't jiving here.
Dedicated like you read about.
Right. But so, yeah, I mean, the guns are provided, ammunition is provided. I mean, everything. When they go to this Joe hunt, again, it doesn't cost them anything. 3 square meals a day.
Good
Breakfast very early in the morning. Come back for lunch. Lunch is provided. Dinner. I mean, it's fantastic. The lodging. I mean, these kids pay nothing for this experience.
And I'm all for that. You know, I think it's great that here's an organization that is, I mean, that is the definition of what it means to be a mentor, right?
100%.
To get these kids out, kids that are interested, they're obviously interested, but for whatever reason, they just don't have the means at the moment to get out on their own with a family member, whatever the case may be.
Yep.
Here we have something that is literally harboring that and encouraging that in our next generation of what we desperately need, right?
Just that one weekend can get those kids hooked for life.
Oh, absolutely.
One weekend of that amongst all the kids out there and experiences.
Think about the first weekend you got to go hunting.
Yeah. I still remember it.
Hooked. You were hooked, right? It
One
just-
morning out there with my dad,
Yes.
I was sold.
Absolutely. As much as my dad probably didn't want me out there.
You would get lost.
No, it wasn't that I got lost. I was sniffling and saying I got to take a dump or something. You know, like
Heels together.
clicking my heels or whatever. Any number of reasons that my dad didn't want me out there. But
He wanted you out there.
well, you know what I mean.
Right.
But I was hooked. You know,
Now, trust me, I've taken adults out or whatever that did the same.
we won't name names, but I know who you're referring to.
Uh-oh.
But no, I mean in all honesty, I mean, I can't say enough about the program. And then on top of just the program itself, I mean, they're all the chapters, but it's the individuals. It's these guys that countless hours that they put in to organize this stuff, from getting the food and getting access to these properties and creating good relationships with these landowners to allow this kind of stuff. It is incredible what these guys do for this. And this is just for the Joe hunt.
Right.
Yeah, before we even get out there.
Right. And then on top of it, then, I mean, K.A.M.O isn't just this Joe hunt. I mean, they're doing stuff all year round. I mean, we're going to be going up in February. They're going to be out there at the Halverson Memorial Ice Fishery.
Which is a great time. Just throwing it out there.
Check it out.
So we'll go over there and we'll spend some time, you know, meeting with the kids and stuff like that. And I know my kid is going to.
I think mine too
be
was
out
pretty
there.
interested.
My mentee, he'll be out there again this year. I was speaking with his dad and stuff, and you know, we need more organizations, and I know there are other ones out there as well. But if you want to see these kinds of things continue, I highly recommend reaching out. I believe the website is KAMOkids.org or .com. If you search KAMO, K-A-M-O,
It comes up on Facebook.
you
real quick.
will find it on Facebook. You'll find their website and get the contact information to, you know, reach out to them. Even if you don't feel like you have the time to be a mentor, if you have old hunting equipment,
Yes.
extra sweatshirts, if your kids have outgrown some of their hunting clothes,
Right.
and that, I highly recommend, you know, reaching out and donating some stuff so that these kinds of programs can continue. I mean it. I cannot say enough about all these guys in K.A.M.O.
Yes.
and all the effort and work that they put in to doing this. It's
Well, they had
I
so
love it.
much stuff done before we even got there. I mean, the deer pole, they had maps of all the stands. I mean, Bob, the guy running it, I mean, he was able to pick out a map and like could point you right to where you wanted to go. Like, I've never been there. I don't know where any of these stands are, and it was top-notch
it can be
instructions.
a little chaotic.
It can be. I found that out.
It can be a little chaotic in that.
But it's all to put the kids in the best spots, as possible.
Yeah. I mean, I thought this year was really cool too. I mean, like we mentioned, Larry Polinsky did the article last year on the return of the Joe hunt. And then this year, Dan Small from Outdoor Wisconsin.
Which is awesome.
You know, if you're from Wisconsin, you know Dan Small.
Dan.
You got to know him.
Yeah.
He reached out to Mark, the president of this particular chapter, and wanted to send out a camera guy in that to document it for his fall deer hunt.
I think you said next November it'll come out.
Yeah, so it's, if you, again, you guys, I guarantee you've all seen it. It's the special that he does before the 9-day gun season, and that, talking about everything. He meets with DNR people and stuff and that. And as it were, Bob told me when I got there, he's like, you know, kind of telling me about this. Oh, and they really want to go out with you, or want to send them out with you and Jordan. They really wanted to have a first time kill on camera, or a kid who's never killed a deer before. I'm like, yeah, I've got no problem with that. He can come sit in the blind with us and that. And then
No pressure.
Yeah.
no
none.
pressure.
None.
And it was like, and then he's like, oh, and then what they would really like is a buck to be killed.
Oh, Jesus.
Okay, well,
That's easy.
Right.
got
I'm
Scott
all
here.
Well, I said, no problem. I said, well,
Hey, Buck. Hey, Buck. That's how it
I
goes,
felt
right?
really good about the
Apparently.
spot we were hunting. I really did. I felt really good about it. Last year was cut bean, and this year was freshly cut corn.
Like
Okay.
days.
I'm like, it's going to be good. This is going to be a good year. I'm like, well, no problem. I said, and he wasn't going to be up until Saturday. So he was going to be out for a Saturday afternoon, evening hunt, and then a Sunday morning.
Okay.
I'm like, well, it's Friday afternoon. I'm like, well, we'll just go ahead and take care of the doe right away.
Yeah.
And that, we're like, all right. Well, that's what we did. Jordan and I went out right away, shot a doe.
Pressure's off.
And like, I don't know, we'll get a buck with the camera guy tomorrow. Well, then we come to find out, like, no, they want that experience of a kid first time, you know.
Sure.
And I totally get that, right? You know,
Yeah.
I'm like, again,
You can't
things
reenact
get
that.
lost in things get lost in translation, and as far as like, you know, what the expectations are and stuff or whatever. And so as it were, then Jesse's got a first timer. And that, does anybody have a kid here who's never killed a deer before?
I think Scott got
And
to
then
stand
I
up
was
before
immediately
anybody.
like, this guy,
What
right
guy?
here,
What
Jesse,
guy?
Jesse. And Jesse's like kind of rolling his eyes, like, I don't know if I want, you know. This
I
is
was
his
new. I
first-
didn't know.
Yeah, this was his first year.
My first year, yeah.
So, anyways, they go out to a spot, and
So we were close.
they were close. They had deer, but from behind and wind direction, all these different things. There was a lot of variables that kind of just didn't make it come together. And that, and then as it was, then the next day he does end up coming back out, or comes out with me and Jordan, and we don't see anything on Sunday.
Of course.
Now, on Saturday evening, while we were out and they were out, and he's with the cameraman, we got 3 bucks walk by us.
And we were going to go in that spot. We were going to switch.
Jeez.
And the property owner that we were at, we were doe only. However, they talked to him, and he's like, you know, this camera guy out to Wisconsin. He's like, whoa, well, if the cameraman's there, okay,
Right.
I will allow a buck to be shot. So we have to watch these 3 bucks. I mean, and perfect. It was a 6-pointer, a forker, and a half forker. I mean, perfect
Jeez.
for perfect bucks for a
Right.
kid's first buck.
Absolutely.
They would be happy with anything.
I
yeah.
guarantee his excitement level would have been easily as high as his first.
And I'm
year.
getting these texts as we're sitting in our blind, like, we were going to sit there too.
So again, so now the next day, cameraman, and he was great. You know,
Oh,
like,
Yeah.
Dave was great.
Dave was awesome. We spent a lot of time talking to him on Saturday night and stuff. Really great guy. We had some great conversations quietly in the blind. You know, we're in a box
Sure.
blind. We
Yeah,
could
yeah.
talk a little bit and stuff.
Very humble.
Very, very nice guy. In fact, we're hoping to have him on the show here. In
Really?
the not too near future.
Oh,
so,
that'd be great.
they're in the very near future. I
He's
should
got a
say.
lot of good stories.
Oh,
Yeah.
I bet.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, anyways, so while now he's with us, and Jesse and his mentee Carson are on another property, and Carson shoots his first deer. Like,
Oh, it was a great
if we
morning.
could have just flip flopped,
Right.
you know, like if he could have been with us on Saturday and then with Jesse on Sunday,
It would have been great footage.
it would have
Yeah.
been great footage. But I mean, that's just the way it goes
Oh,
sometimes.
God,
I mean,
yeah.
the hunting gods, they have different ideas on how things are gonna go.
Just wasn't meant to be on camera.
Right, exactly. Now I did get mine on camera.
Yeah,
I got video of Jordan's first
Okay.
and stuff. So and
I
then
wasn't
some of
that quick with mine.
Some of the tracking and that, so that'll be fun to get that posted and stuff here pretty soon. But yeah, I mean, it's just such a fun weekend.
I had a blast. I mean,
So Carson?
Carson, yes.
So how was Carson when he got his first deer?
Oh man, I mean, as ecstatic as a kid could be. I mean,
Yeah.
we seen one. I think it was only 20 after 7, and we actually seen one on. We actually jumped one on the way out there.
Oh.
So I'm like, okay, there's deer in the area, but that one's not anymore. And it was just after light, and this is again another property that, was doe only, from the landowner, which was fine. We were
Yeah.
fine with that.
Right.
Yeah.
And I think it was 10 after 7. I seen one probably 80-ish yards at the bottom of the hill, but it was dark for a while Sunday morning, like
It took a while.
overcast.
Yeah,
it
was
took a
damn
while.
foggy, a little foggy.
It was, and
Okay.
definitely a little bit over by us. And being doe only, I really wanted to make sure that it wasn't a buck. So it was standing down there. I couldn't tell with his scope. I couldn't tell with my binoculars, and ended up walking off. And I'm like, hey, it's all right. Still a lot of time.
Mm-hmm.
So I had him just stay focused in this, window. I'm like, there's a good chance that there's a crop field over that direction. Some might be filtering through. And I think it was 15, 20 minutes after we lost track of that one. Here's one, and then followed by 2 and 3. I think
kidding.
there was like a group of 6. I could tell he was like shaking.
Oh yeah.
I mean, seeing that many, he never seen a deer in a hunt yet.
Oh,
Not even a deer. And then all of a sudden there's 6, and he's like, which one do I shoot? I'm like, pick one that gives you the best opportunity.
Mm-hmm.
And he's like, okay, I got this one in my sights. I'm like, okay, I'm gonna take the safety off. And just as I was about to do that, that one turns. He's like, I'm like, well, pick out the next one that gives you the best shot. And then that one turned. And it just finally had to get some of them stopped because they weren't stopping.
Mm-hmm.
They were just roaming through, and it was probably a good 80-yard shot. And finally, I was like, all right, that one's stopped. I got him to stop. He's not going to be there that long. Shoots. I mean,
Drilled it,
dropped.
80.
drilled it,
That's
didn't
awesome.
move, and
Didn't
he
go 20.
was,
Didn't go 20.
oh my God, he was
That's
so
awesome.
excited. And
That's crazy because I shot my doe at 15 yards this year, and that thing went 120 yards.
The icing on a cake was, I'm like, because I think they could shoot 2 does.
Yeah, 2 does or 1 doe and 1 buck.
And it was still early enough, so I was like, okay, let's be quiet. Maybe it was only 1 shot. It was windy. I don't think it was 15 minutes later. Here comes this like 4 or 6 pointer.
Oh,
I actually took a picture of it. Came right up, broadside. Actually stood there for about 10 minutes circling the deer he just shot. The doe.
But on that property, you couldn't shoot a buck. So.
Right. And so he's like, just had to watch it. So it was a little bit of a heartbreaker, but hey, you got your tag, you got your first deer. I mean,
do you have the shakes?
oh my God, I grabbed the gun and I had to have him sit down because I could see his knees were buckling a little bit. I'm like,
Did you explain to him that feeling never goes away?
oh, it won't. I mean, he was kind of shaking as he was walking down there. I was walking behind him, and I don't think he could got down there fast enough.
I mean,
I wasn't. I had to keep up.
43 years old, I shoot a deer and I still get, I'm just doing that.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh yeah.
There's something wrong if you still don't get that out hunting.
You
I
probably
don't care if
should do
it's a giant buck or a doe. I
Yeah,
mean, that
even
that
if it's for a
adrenaline.
brief moment.
Yeah, just that
like
that snap.
that kind of just little adrenaline rush and little buck fever, deer fever, whatever you want to call it.
Whatever it is.
Jordan, when he got his too, he was just like, so what do we do now? Do we
This is new.
do we run down there and get it? I'm like, well, first off, like it ran off into the woods there. Like I'm like, I know you made a good shot. But that's a dead deer in that, but like we're just gonna give it a little time. Let's pump the brakes here, and we'll work our way down there in about 30 minutes. We'll get out. I mean, it's really early. We got plenty of light left. He shot that deer at 3:30, and we were back at the McKenzie Center at 10 after 5. And that's with giving it a half hour too. I mean, like It was a short track job, but I'm like, let's go right to the spot, you know, show them a little
Which
bit.
is great, right? I mean, yeah,
Gotta
that's
start off in the spot.
Absolutely.
Like, you know, let's track this deer. And I mean, and the deer probably went, I mean, it actually almost came full circle. It like kind of came, it was only about 40 yards, 30 yards away from the blind
Okay.
along the side of us, but it was in the thick and we couldn't hear it crash being in that box blind like that. But, and we're on the ground level. We're not elevated.
Okay.
We're just sitting on a little trailer that's got skis on it
Oh, nice.
on the field edge. So the deer maybe went 70, 80 yards and that, but he got to experience that.
Track job.
You know, like, all right, there was a lot of blood in the field, but then we were getting little drops. As a lot of times you sometimes, you know, do with gun, you know.
Little droplets instead of
Yeah.
a full-blown trail.
Right, like sometimes.
Bow hunting, you seem to get better track jobs.
Yeah, exactly. But, I mean, it wasn't that bad, and I knew this was a dead deer. I mean, there was no question in my mind.
But that was also really cool for him to experience that, right? And how to do it. And,
Right.
And all right, this is what you're, because it's easy to say, you have to see it. You have to see what a droplet of blood looks like and how hard it is to maybe pick up, or maybe how easy it is.
Right,
to
even
pick up,
showing them too, like the splatter pattern, you know, like on a corn stalk.
Yes.
So that if the droplet's going, you know, if it's all, and it kind of trails off, that's giving an indication that that blood hit because the deer is moving this direction.
Right.
So when it drops, it's going to leave this kind of like almost like comet,
Yeah.
you know, with like a trail a little bit, or you can kind of see a little bit of a difference, you know, instead of just drops on the ground.
Like if it was just standing there.
If
Right.
it's just standing there, you know, and those are things that, and it's funny that it sticks in their head. The things that I talked to him about last year, I reviewed with him in the blind the first day. And we're talking in there. I said, do you remember the things that we talked about and that you learned from last year? He's like, yep. I'm like, why didn't you tell me? Tell me about the things. Because we actually did a little video at the end last year in that.
Okay.
And I talked to him. I said, all right, tell me about the things you learned, whether it be from me or from the deer biologist or from any other mentors that you talked to this weekend and that. And he rattled off all these different things. I'm like, the kid was listening. He legitimately listened, and he had all this stuff in it. So I asked him again, you know, at the beginning of our weekend, you know, do you remember some of the things that we talked about? And he brought up all these things. I said, what was the big thing from last year? He's like, patience.
Wow.
Because I drilled that into him. Like, patience is so key and so important.
Yep, 100%.
And to keep an upbeat attitude and to not, you know, get discouraged when you're not seeing deer because you never know when it's going to happen.
I had to keep saying that.
Like, and that's a hard thing because, you know, if kids are watching hunting shows and things like that, right?
They see all the good stuff.
You know, all they see is boom, there's a deer. Like, they don't know how long that hunter's been in that stand waiting for
From daylight
to come and stuff, right? How many days of not seeing anything or whatever. So you kind of, if that's their only experience, boy, you're setting them up for failure
100%.
because they're going to get discouraged really quick. I mean, the mentality, the attention span of a 10, 11-year-old. I mean, what is that? I mean, it's pretty small, right?
Right.
So it's these kinds of things. And again, this year, I'm like, we talked about, you know, what are the things, you know, that you learn, you know, and some of it was about the tracking stuff. And so one of the things, it's like, sure, you get a lot of these kids nowadays, they get into their teenage years, right? And they get really involved in sports and club sports and different things like that. They might put hunting aside for a while.
Yep.
They might kind of table it, but these memories will last. And when the sports is over, and maybe after college or even during college or at some point, they always have that memory, and it might be enough to
Get them back into the
get
sport.
them back into it again because you created this base for them, something for them to start with. I mean, some of these kids are going to be gung ho. Like Jordan's like asking about Midwest and stuff, and I'm like, it's me and my buddies,
cool.
and that we started this
Idiot
thing.
brother.
He's like, do you think I could do something like that when I get older? I'm I'm like,
Sky's the limit.
absolutely, you could.
When you get older, you'll be a part of the team, bud.
right? Maybe, right? Exactly. So
He's got a hat, right?
he does. Yeah.
Awesome.
So I'm like, these programs are fantastic and very integral to keeping our traditions alive.
Yeah, the weekend wasn't just about killing. They learned so much.
Right.
I think
Killing was
that's
just a part of it.
I think that's a
Look,
a
if you could
great.
maybe scroll through some of those pics again real quick, just to kind of, as you pull them up there or whatever, we can point out a couple things there now.
I think that's a great
So that was
segue.
Jesse and Dave, Roll the Camera Guy, doing. We both did these interviews at the
sure.
end, and that will be a. If we did a good enough job, there's Jordan doing his, and that will be on that episode there. That was so they do bingo on Saturday night. So
Okay.
I believe that was Kenzie, and
I think this was her first year.
she got her first ear and 2 turkeys.
That was her that got the turkey.
Yeah, she got the turkeys,
That's awesome.
and she won the grand prize, which was that Savage 6.5 Creedmoor.
Ooh.
Yeah, same gun that Hunter was using.
And then that's Carson on the right there in the blue sweatshirt. Jesse, on behalf of Midwest, donated a charter fishing trip. So that was the second grand prize. And as it turns out, his kid won it.
It wasn't rigged.
It was, yeah, I would say it was not rigged.
No, we weren't even in there.
Yeah,
for
I don't.
it, so.
Yeah, I didn't even know he won it.
That's cool, and thank you for doing that, Jesse. That's really
It
awesome.
was from all of us guys.
There they are playing bingo on Saturday night. Lots of prizes and stuff like that for them to win. There's Elijah and his daughter Stella.
That was same property we were on.
It's a nice hat that Elijah has on.
Yeah, nice sweatshirt too.
Ooh, how about that?
That's just some of us hanging out there
Kind of a
on
cool lodge
Saturday
there,
night.
yeah.
Oh, it's a really
I
great.
think they even had kids out there cutting firewood to help keeping that stocked up.
Yes. Slave labor.
Well,
So, you talked about how meaningful it is for the kids, and absolutely 100% couldn't agree more. I wasn't there, but everything that you guys are saying, like, what an incredible experience. That being said, let's get selfish, right? What did it mean to you guys, right? I think sometimes gets lost in the translation when we talk about a nonprofit or something that you're volunteering your time for. There is much to be said about what it is that you're getting out of it, right? So how did that feel, and just 2-part, right? How did that feel, and then if you could describe not just how it felt, but what it basically reminded you of when you were a kid, right? And in that moment, and being able to, it's obviously you have that with Hunter as it is, right?
Right.
Your own son. But for maybe somebody that doesn't have a son that's hunting yet, right? And to see
or daughter.
or a daughter, absolutely. I apologize.
several
I
girls.
apologize.
There's a lot of girls up there.
Yeah, that was incredibly ignorant on my part. Nonetheless,
Just wanted to point it out. Your ignorance, that is.
I think it gets pointed out frequently enough. But nonetheless, just explain that, I guess, because, in order to really understand how important it is to give back, right, and serve the community that serves us, right, the hunting community.
Yep.
Explain that, if you would.
Oh, going up there, I didn't, know what I was, as far as, because I always just hunt with my boy.
Mm-hmm.
But going up there and seeing all the kids running around and then meeting my kid that I took out, never hunted up until that point, and just being able to teach him everything that I was taught, that I was teaching, and seeing him soak it all up from day one. Again, patience. I had to really drill that into mine as well, and seeing that patient, him not giving up till the very last day. And that was one thing he said at the very end, that he was, getting discouraged, but he remembered what I said. You never know when the deer are going to step out, and you can't know if you're not out there trying.
Yeah.
And just hearing that from day one to the very, he remembered that. And the excitement, being able to teach stuff that I was taught and that I'm teaching my boy, and then teaching somebody that I didn't even know up until that weekend
Right.
was just, it was tremendous. It was really cool. Can't wait to do it again. I mean, keeping these kids involved, like Scott says, is tremendous for the hunting community.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's got to, there has to be, you know, yeah, it's not your kid, but there's pride in that, right? Like,
Very
you
much.
have to be proud of being like, yeah, all right, yeah, good job, man. Like, or girl, you got it done, you know, and just have that sense of accomplishment and being able to sit back and as the deer's getting hoisted onto that A-frame. How awesome is that?
Oh, I mean, every kid was so proud. I mean,
Yeah.
I don't think one kid didn't stand up there for a half an hour. Every time somebody new drove up, they were bringing them over. Look what I got.
Just cheesing, yeah,
And
absolutely.
I know I was right behind my kid. I was just like, yeah, way to go.
Yes. I mean, Saturday night, there was just a buzz.
There was something in the air.
And Bob and I are standing there and that, and there's just like this, all the kids are out, and there were so many deer killed on Saturday, and they're all being, you know, they're working on taking deer down and getting them tested for CWD and hoisting them back up. And it was just like, I told Bob, I said, do you feel that? I'm like, that's a buzz. There's a buzz going on right here. I'm like, the feeling is palpable.
Feel the energy.
Deer fever.
Like, it was just crazy. All these kids are so excited. The mentors are excited. Everybody's like upbeat. I mean, even if you came back with your kid and you didn't, it didn't matter.
It
Like,
didn't
it was
matter,
just,
right.
it was very contagious. Probably one of the best feelings I've had. I mean, and I felt that last year though too.
Right.
But like, I don't know, something about it this year. It kind of overcame me. And I actually, like I said, I went to Bob. I'm like, do you feel that? Like, do you feel this buzz right now? Like this buzz in the air, this palpable feeling of just like all this excitement that all these kids have and all the mentors have. I'm like, this is fantastic. This is so cool.
And it's exciting to hear this, right? You know, I mean, I can feel the excitement coming off of you guys just talking about it.
It is. It's,
And, you know, and that's the thing that we're trying to really touch on, right? So if you're passionate about hunting,
Check these
here-
organizations
here's,
out.
Here's an opportunity to give back. And everything that you're putting into it, you will get back tenfold because of how good it feels knowing that, you know, you did something good and you were there for it.
you know,
You were a
even
part of it.
This is also an opportunity for certain, for parents, you know, to get their own kid involved, and you can be a mentor for your own child too on this.
Right.
Like, this is a great way. Like, if you, oh man, I don't know how to get my kid involved.
Bring them out.
You know, this is a fun experience. These kids are running around.
Lots of room to run.
Flashlight tag. Last year we had a ton of snow, so they're having snowball fights and playing hide and seek, and it's kind of almost like a camp type atmosphere. So it's a great memory for them, and at the same time they're learning about hunting. You know, so it's not like, well, I just want to dump my kid off and have somebody else teach them, which is fine too.
Sure.
But if you are also a hunter and you have, say, you know, a 10 or 11-year-old, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, we had some teenagers and stuff, you can do that too. You know, you can mentor them through this program and as a mentor for them.
Give them that
That's
deer
fantastic.
camp group
give
feeling.
them
It was like a
that,
kid deer camp, basically what it was.
There you go.
Yeah, absolutely. And I'm telling you, just from start to finish, it's always a lot of fun. There's so many laughs. There's so much camaraderie. I mean, just from year one even to year two, I mean, all the guys you met and how many great guys are involved.
I met so many great
know.
guys. I lost track on names.
Right.
But all the guys there, I can't wait to see next year. And I think we're going to all meet up, you know, the ones that, you know, stayed in touch.
Oh,
That's
absolutely. Yeah. Great group of guys. But anyways, I think we should probably wrap it up here.
Yeah.
For this episode here, we apologize for any of you that were part of
Tuned in on
the initial 5 minutes there, but
It was just
Yes.
intro.
we started in that. Yeah, no, this was a great episode. Can't say enough, guys. Check out KAMO.
Yes.
KAMO Kids. Check them out on Facebook. They have a website, and you'll find different chapters throughout the state of Wisconsin. Find one in your area.
Look, even if you think that there isn't a way for you to get involved, there probably is.
Whether
So
it be through donation or
look into it. This is just something that is it's great for the next generation, right? And like we are just talking about, it's also going to be great for you. So please check it out.
I got out probably just as much as the kids did.
Exactly.
There's so much takeaway on this end of it. So
Absolutely.
Just so many memories that were made in just, 3 days?
Yeah,
right, yeah.
definitely. Well, it sounds great.
Right.
Appreciate your insight on everything.
you.
And thanks for joining us tonight.
Yeah, I think in a future episode we'll probably we'd maybe even like to bring in a couple of the guys from KAMO and stuff.
That would be fantastic.
Bob and Mark?
Yeah, that could talk a little more in depth about the origins and stuff like that of it. Like I said, it was Elijah that got me into it, and I'll be forever grateful for.
And when's he coming on?
So, he'll be on.
Oh yeah.
But stay tuned, guys. We're going to have another episode here in 2 weeks. So keep your eyes posted on what we're doing for that episode. That'll be after Christmas. So we want to wish you guys all happy holidays, safe.
Absolutely. Merry
Healthy.
Christmas, everyone.
Holidays for everybody. Let's have a sociable of that. Merry Christmas.
Let's do a little wrap around.
Oh, yeah.
little wrap around.
Wrap it around. And if you guys haven't yet, if you guys are watching on Facebook, please head over to our YouTube page and subscribe and hit that notifications button. We'd love for you guys to subscribe over there. Give you another option, another place for you to watch us. We're going to be doing some more stuff with Instagram as well. So keep your eyes out for us on all 3 platforms. All right, guys, until next time, happy holidays and
Always
Always
outdoors.
outdoors.